Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how the graph of tangent is actually created by showing you what it looks like for distances on the triangle. So on the right hand side, you'll see this is tangent of 52 degrees, which is the y coordinate over the x coordinate of the triangle that you see on the left. So do you see how the y distance is 8.2 and the x distance is 6.5? That's going to give you a tangent value of 1.28. Now, as I actually drag this, I'm going to make it smaller. Notice how the y distance, the vertical distance, and the x distance changes. And so when I divide them, it actually gets smaller till I get to 0. And 0 over the distance horizontally is 0. So that's why it goes through 0, 0 on the tangent graph. As it increases, when I divide the y distance over the x distance, I end up getting those values on the graph as you see there until it becomes undefined. So notice how it gets really large when I divide by 0 because it's infinite, thus that vertical asymptote. So notice how the horizontal distances are negative now. That's why tangent starts dipping into the negatives. Then we end up getting that vertical distance, the y distance being 0, so that's why 0 again. And then a negative over a negative is positive, so that's reflected on that x-axis. And then we end up getting back to undefined. And we can continue doing this over and over so you can see how these points are generated by just dividing the y distance over the x distance. And I can go back the other way to get the negative portion of the graph. So we kind of started here, but if I do negative angles, what will happen is we get a negative over a positive, so we're negative, and then you can just keep going. And you'll generate all portions of the tangent graph. So I wanted to give you that visual of how tangent is actually created. Now the other thing I wanted you to do to be able to check is I want you to be able to graph this thing on your calculator. So you probably want to try this on the handheld and on the app, but you're going to go to graphs and you can actually end up graphing all of the trig functions right into your graphing calculator. So you can just do tangent of x to get your actual tangent graph, and then there you go. You have tangent right there. If you wanted to add maybe a cotangent graph, if you're on the Inspire app, you can just press and hold. That will get you to a cotangent graph as well, so you could graph that if you needed to. On the handheld, you're just going to have to use the trig button to get all of your actual trig graphs there. All right.